Morning, everybody. Lenny gave me, so I'm so delighted to be here for so many reasons. And Lenny gave me actually a chance to extemporize for a few minutes, and he doesn't know how dangerous that is. But I really want to tell you how phenomenal it's been to see the solutions that we just got to see. And when I was at General Mills back in 1998, our CEO said, we need an internet strategy, and everybody decided, all right, well, market research, you just need to move us to the internet. And so we went out and we had to try and find partners. And we didn't have anything like this, right? We didn't have a place that you could go and hear 40 really wonderful new solutions and have people present and do it in 5 minutes in a really cogent way. I mean, we had to go and scan the internet. We sent people out and about. We went out to Silicon Valley. We talked to people, and we talked to more people, and we talked to more people. And we happened upon Market Tools, a company, I think quite by accident. So I just really want you all to know what a great gift it is to have this forum and this opportunity to see all of these really remarkable solutions that are being brought forward. Now, what we were able to do with that partnership with Market Tools is shift 85% of our research to the internet in 1 year at General Mills in 1998. And so the possibility, because you have client researchers in this room, you have large research supplier companies in this room, you have startups in this room, you have people self-identified that said that they don't know that much about the market research industry. If you want to disintermediate an industry, which is what we actually did at General Mills, you need to understand the industry, right? So that's maybe something that actually at the ARF we can also help with. But I think the idea of collaborating from startups to academia to big companies to companies that aren't in the room yet is a really, really critical thing. And I want to, and critically important, and I'm really, really, really excited. And what I heard today, because I'm a researcher, I'm going to always say that. At some point in time, I just decided, all right, I'm a researcher. Hello, my name is Gayle. And I think I heard this morning that I'm somewhere between sexy and dead. So, and then Stephen would say I'm non-existent. So, but there you have it. And I did lead research at General Mills, and I absolutely adored my job. And then I dove out, and I had the most highly caffeinated, athletic 9 months that anyone could imagine. I worked out, drank coffee, and hung out. And then I found myself on the stage at events like this talking about market research and my belief in the future of market research, and I realized that I maybe just wasn't done yet. I still really believe in the possibility for us to make a difference. So what I'm going to talk about today, because you've heard about all the tricks in the book, right? You've heard about so many solutions. What I want to speak to you about is about, are you ready actually to collaborate and to change and to lead the kind of change that we as leaders and individuals in this industry, from wherever your vantage point is, are you ready to go out and make the kind of build the kind of growth and make the kind of change and build the kind of personal relationships that will really make a difference and will get us in a different place and on a different trajectory for business growth, and on behalf of the consumer. We had our audience measurement conference last week. It was my first conference. I'm here 8 weeks. It was quite a white-knuckle ride, but Chris Bacon, who I worked with for years, stood on our stage, no slides, actually, and he said, you know what, people, there are consumers behind all these numbers. There are people behind all these numbers. And so that's what I want to just kind of invoke for a few minutes. So the question is, are you ready? So this is the must-have slide for 2013, right? You've seen it a million times. You've seen it probably, more than a handful of times in the last 2 days. But the consumer's in control. Big data is big inundation and it's big opportunity, and I think that these startups really pointed that out to us. Growth is slow domestically. That is a huge problem for our CEOs. And when CEOs are concerned about things and they don't go the way they want, actually, they don't tend to go to startups and run around and take a lot of risk. They actually go kind of back to, I need some data, I need some facts. They kind of hang on. And so that's really important for us to know in terms of the kinds of things that we're bringing forward. It is also complicated abroad. Abroad, the idea of actually having authentic insights is what's going to drive growth, not just getting a footprint out there. Just distributing products abroad isn't going to create the kind of long-term growth and loyalty among global consumers, but we have to have fingertips for those consumers and really make a difference in their lives. And then you all know about this explosion of touch points, which has made our jobs in terms of metrics really difficult, and it's made it more complex. And I would like to actually almost like cross out ROI and say the heat map is still the coin of the realm, right? Because the heat map is the thing that I saw the most of in the last day, in addition to our ability to measure through ROI. So, I would offer, though, and those of you that don't want to self-describe as researchers like I do, but if you prefer not to, then put your own little heading there, however you would like to describe yourselves. I would say that our decision table awaits. And I'm here because Lenny invited me to be here, and I really have a lot of respect for the voice that Lenny has and for the kinds of platforms and forums that he's been able to create and the kinds of discussion and discourse. And I think we got to get in here, we got to mix it up. But the truth of the matter is that I believe that we understand the consumer better than anyone else. And we understand the consumer both from a logical standpoint, from an emotional standpoint, in terms of their hearts and how to connect with them, along with these new startups and technologies that we saw today, and then also their feed, their behavior, sales data. In a way, we're probably the only ones in our companies that really like data, right? So that's actually an advantage right now. And then I really think that our skills to translate data into insights, because some of you, even if you said the researcher needs to go away because we can just automate all of this, there still is a role to translate that back to a business decision. Because people make decisions, data doesn't. And so that's an opportunity for us. And I'd argue that even our communication skills have improved, witnessed by the fact that people stuck to 5 minutes here, right? And I was sharing with someone during the break that I remember General Mills, a group came back to me and said, we did so well that we didn't finish, which meant because in the old days we had the answer at the end, we didn't give them the answer. So we've made a lot of progress, all of you, on behalf of the industry. So Lenny and I think we just met yesterday, but I think at some level we're kind of heart people because here we have what y'all are saying at the conference, which I hadn't seen until yesterday, and then this is what I want to talk to you about. I want to define collaboration, I want to refine collaboration about what it means to us, and then we want to do it. And I'm going to give you some examples, and I'm going to, it's like, some speedy examples of some things that are going on at the ARF because I just feel that I want to do that. All right, so here's the question for me. Can you or can't you, right? So I had the chance to go to Cannes, right? And I am standing here instead of on, the beautiful French Riviera because I believe in this platform. I believe in the researcher of the future. I believe in the researcher of today, and I believe in what we can do to really make a difference. And so that kind of helps give you a little bit of a testimonial. And as you all leave, I think there are just a few talks to kind of close, and this idea of collaboration as a platform, and I know data philanthropy, which is really fascinating that Lenny wants to also offer up. I thought, well, it's pretty interesting to think about, all right, what are you going to take back? This is really data inundation in terms of all the ideas that have been presented. So what are you going to take back in terms of how you spent your last couple of days? And when you get back to the desk, isn't it like your hair is on fire, right? Like, okay, that's how it's going to be when you get back there. But is Rome burning? Yes, Rome is always burning. And I would just encourage you, invite you, and invoke you to grab something, write it down, and I'm going to encourage you to grab somebody, find somebody, find a partner, choose your partners, find someone that compliments you, find someone that challenges you, find someone that doesn't laugh too loud at your jokes because they're probably a little too much like you, and try to do something, experiment, create something. Because I think you still have the opportunity to expand your innovation footprint. And in the next couple of minutes, I'm just going to share how. All right, so we're going to start by defining collaboration, and no big surprise, right? You got two or more people, they work together toward common goals. I kind of like this intellectual, creative, and they build consensus. So the question is, why is it so hard? Why is it so hard to actually really get out there and find a partner? Because you tend to go back to the office and you kind of connect with the people that are at your office, or the people, if you're in market research, you tend to be with researchers and you maybe don't connect with R&D, you maybe don't connect with the art department or the design department. So there are everyone has people that they could be potentially reaching out to. The origin was about working together, but not about this kind of laborious part. And what I'd offer to you is that maybe it's the fear that this is the complement of that definition is actually that it's the act of cooperating traitorously with an enemy. And okay, now we got our hearts beating, right? Because emotion is about getting your heart beating, and once your heart beats, then then you move your feet. And so I'd actually offer that actually collaborating or connecting with something that seems more like an enemy is actually something that might be a kind of a provocative idea to leave. Maybe it's someone that you consider a competitor today, and go and find your competitor and say, hey, how can we advance something together, because we can all move the industry forward faster by cooperating. Maybe if you're a big data company and you do advanced analytics and you think DIY is just like really should be non-existent, maybe you should rethink that. There are a lot of different examples of ways to think about things a little differently. And what I would like to add here is the idea of a frenemy, not an enemy, right? So we all know we have them, right? It's from my son's, more his generation. But that kind of frenemy, they kind of keep you on the run a little bit. And I think we'll all do a better job if we kind of find those folks and kind of get close to them. And then I'd offer you to think about it as a collaboration. And there were so many people this morning that talked about actually experimenting, failing fast, try something, just try it on one little project. And then you saw a lot of big names up there of companies that have already tried some of these new technologies, not to mention Interpol and the Pentagon. And for heaven's sakes, if Interpol and the Pentagon can experiment with these things, I would think packaged goods can too. All right, so here's what we want to do. We want to face each other, right? And when I got to the ARF, and we have 35 of the most amazing, talented, and fun people, and I have had an absolute blast. This is the happiest time of my career. But we sat like this, 35 of us, right? And I said, hey, how about if we face each other? How about if we sit in a circle? And so I really, really think this is an important way to look, because if you think about it, and how I thought about it is 5 people are looking at me and all the rest of you guys are looking at somebody's back. And that's not how collaboration is going to happen. So how about if it was actually a journey and not a task? How about if we didn't say, okay, I'm going to collaborate today and go check that box? How about if we really got out there and we co-created? And I know this is a platform that Lenny also really believes in and espouses, but how about if each partner brought their strengths? Well, in order to do that, you need to identify your strengths. So I'd encourage you to think about, all right, what do you do better than anybody else? And then equally, what are the things that you could stand to have complement you? What are the things that you don't feel that you do as well as you could, or you don't feel that you do as well as you could that you're going to need it 5 years from now? So find somebody that can help do that. And then open your eyes, listen, have free interchange, and then be willing to try something new. It just takes stepping out there. So now I'm going to give you a little speed round of 5 quick examples at the ARF that are around how we change things up. The first one is work that's been done over the past year and a half. I can't take any credit for it. I want to share it with you. One of the things I found, I went on a listening tour. I've spoken with about 90 people, board of directors, employees, and a lot of thought leaders in the industry, many of you in this room, and I really, really want to learn and listen. And one of the things that I found is that a lot of the work at the ARF people maybe don't know about as much, and they don't know how deep it is, and they don't know that it's available to them. So I'm going to offer you first that you can actually answer questions quicker because of things you can get from us. We can help make you smarter, and we actually can also help you be more savvy because we can bring examples of successes and failures of work that's been done by other companies where they've tried things. And so if you can actually learn from someone's success or their failure, then you don't have to try that. You can try something else, and you can share what you did, and we can advance faster. I'm going to talk about a mobile meetup, a mix mashup. I'm going to talk about relationships first and what that feels like and how it feels for me because it's a little bit of storytelling and that's kind of how I like to do it. And I'm brand new, so I don't have the answers. I'm just getting started. And then I'm going to give you a little future inspiration, which isn't an answer either. It's the new ARF. All right, so here you go. Here's 4 pieces of groundbreaking work that have been done. And, the ARF is considered to be venerable and venerated, and we're the voice of objectivity. And so when we go out and do work, we get like 2 universities, 14 sponsors, this neuro work that's been done. And it's not the answer, but it's a starting point. Now, as a corporate researcher for over 3 decades, I can tell you, the second one here, Foundations of Quality 2.0, right? I worked under 2 CEOs over my career. Both of them would have said, data quality, Gayle, it's your job, fix it, and don't tell me how you did it, right? But then I didn't get extra money to do it. I didn't get extra time. I didn't get more people. So, here's how this works. We do the research that you don't have the time or the money to do. And then I can take that back to my CEO and I can say, hey, look, Kellogg, P&G, CBS, Viacom, Nielsen, ComScore, they've all gotten together. These are sponsors of these kinds of studies, and those are random examples. There are a number of different sponsors of these studies. And this work has been sponsored and endorsed objectively by the ARF to my CEO. And that has value. And that actually had more value than some of the work that I did within General Mills, where I said, I did the study, and they might say, well, how do you know it's right? Just because you did it, right? So it has this like objective kind of connectivity to it. So we have digital, we have foundations of quality, neuro, and then streaming audio. Those are 4 pieces of work that are available to you. We want to be a first responder, though. And so rather than engaging in a debate about what should we work on next after those 4 things, what I did when I got to the ARF is I said, all right, I'm just going to call it out. We're going to put a stake in the ground. It's mobile. And this is actually a chart that I had at General Mills. There's no question mobile. Look at how fast that's advancing. Look at how important it is. Look at how many times you heard it starting up right at the top of the morning with Simon Chadwick saying that's where the venture capital money's going, right? All right, so what we did is we got our board of directors together, and at my first board meeting, which was about a month ago, we got everybody together. All right, so what's kind of interesting, and this is the collaborate with your enemy or your frenemy or your competitor, is we have competitors on our board, right? So you've got Nielsen and ComScore, they're right there, and then you've got Toluna and PD, the different Kantar, different research companies, Ipsos. We've got Viacom, CBS. Then we've got P&G Unilever. And so what we did in our mobile meetup is we actually put people together. We had 5 groups in our mobile meetup, and we put them together by advertisers. So we put what would be considered competitors and enemies together. So here you see Brad Smallwood from Facebook and Jim Dervillis, and this is actually at the ARF, and Peter Orban is in charge of the mobile initiative. And so we got people together and said, hey, what are your big questions around mobile? That was a mobile meetup. Then what we did last Sunday night before our conference is we got together our young pros. So we had 40 young pros, and we have 625 young pros in New York. And we said, hey, what are your questions about mobile? So we took our board of directors around mobile. Now we get out and we get our young pros around mobile. And it was really interesting. The young pros said, well, it's actually isolating and it's intimate at the same time. And we don't really know exactly what to do with that. And that's a generation that grew up on mobile, which is a little different than everyone that's on our board of directors. So I don't have the answers. What we did is we worked on identifying the questions here. We're going to try to identify questions that will make a difference, and then we're going to start initiatives behind these things, and we're going to try to be closer to real time in terms of how quickly we bring them forward. We had a mixed mashup at our conference. Maybe you saw this article, David Poltrak, who's been at CBS for 42 years. He came out and he said, we got a problem with our marketing mix models, and he presented it at our conference, and thus ensued controversy, right? And what I'd heard is we haven't had controversy at conferences in a long time, and we want it. And I think we need to have more controversy, and it's one of the reasons why I'm here. I think we need to be mixing up the discussion, and I think we need to do it, what I'll say is under functional cover, right? We need to not be out in the press kind of duking it out. We need to get in a room together, and we need to really have really good discourse about where are these issues going, how are we going to fix them, and we need to emerge with a point of view. Here's what I refer to kind of fondly as alphabet soup, right? So this is these are all the affiliates. And I was able to go last week to the joint boards meeting of the ANA, the IAB, and the 4As. And interestingly enough, the ARF was created 76 years ago by the 4As and the ANA, but the ARF wasn't included in this joint board group, right? So I said, well, hey, can I come? And I came, but this, I want you to see this. This is the beginning of Bob Leotis, who I've known for years because he's on the ARF board and I was on that board. And, you know, he's helping figure out, hey, can we have a relationship? Because I said, look, I want to be in a different place with you than where the ARF's been. But the idea of walking out of this room and saying, hey, go collaborate, it's kind of messy, right? And it's not just like, sure, great, and then all of a sudden you're valued for everything you have to offer perfectly, and the other person understands it perfectly, and you get together, and it's a marriage made in heaven, and everything's great. So I'm sharing this with you because, there's a lot in here about meaningful measurement, and then down here it says the use of facts and data, and that was a little bit of my insight with all the CMOs last week, is the ARF is looked for facts and data. And we have so much more that we can add. So this is the beginning of a relationship, and I'll take it like whatever they said, will you help with this? I'm like, I'm in, because I really want us to be connected. But I think it's a cautionary tale about collaboration and about building relationships. Is it isn't always quick and elegant, and everything doesn't always fall into place. You gotta work at it. And it's about personal relationships first. So the last example I'll quickly show you is inspiration, the new ARF. We had a tabletop discussion, and we just got our ideas up on little sheets, and we just didn't know how this was going to work. And so I want to kind of close with this, because I want you to know I'm not asking you to do anything I wouldn't do myself. I'm trying new things, and I'm going to try new things, and you're going to see new things come from the ARF and from this team of people. They are a remarkably talented, fun, friendly, multicultural, multi-generational, eager, and ready to go group of people. And we're out, and we really, really want to make a difference. Some of them are here with me today. And so what we did is we said, hey, all right, what are your questions? And what I love about this is we had tabletop discussion, big data, mobile, social, cross-platform. Everybody wanted the cross-platform tables, right? I couldn't figure out why one guy was sitting by himself, and that's because I was like, this is terrible. Nobody's sitting with Ted. Well, Ted was at a social table, and everybody wanted cross-platform. So cross-platform seems to be something that venture wants. But what I think is interesting is people are also looking for skills, right? So they want to know, they want modelers and stats to be able to speak to C-level. Well, data doesn't speak to C-level, people do. They want more training on statistics. I think there's a lot of opportunity here, and that's something that I want us to be able to offer, is bring some skill building as part of our collaboration back with the industry. More collaborative teams to solve industry problems, which is what this whole time is about. All right, so I have just an invitation at the end here for y'all to think about, reinvent yourself, amplify your voice through partnership. You can have a lot more impact if you create a partner, and they bring their audience to you, and you bring your audience to them. Build your skills by experimenting. Choose your partners. Right brain seeks left brain. Left brain seeks right brain. You saw a lot of examples of that this morning. Define it. Know yourself. Choose your partners. Resist fear. Consider this a lab, not labor. Fail faster. Start telling your stories, successes and failures. And then go big or go home. That's what I'm planning to do. We're going to mobilize. We're going to convene competitors. We're going to ask and answer. And we had an event in Minnesota. We had 108 people there. And one of my colleagues from New York, who'd never been to Minnesota, came up to me and said, Gayle, somebody asked me to ask you about Minnesota kind. And it's actually Minnesota nice. And it's actually not that nice. But what I would offer in my closing to you is that we're going to be not just Minnesota kind. We're going to not be that. We're going to be kind of more New York. And so as you think about it, create your own luck. Because a satisfying career and a satisfying life, and I believe I'm living one, and I feel so happy and honored to be here today, is found by actively creating your own luck and making the most of new and unforeseen experiences. So I'd invite you to dive out there and find them. Woo!